Welcome to today's episode of the Group X podcast. I'm your host, Tony Zonato. And if you haven't yet done so, please jump on over to Facebook and Instagram and throw us a like and follow. It all helps spread the word. Today, I'll be talking to Luke Etzler, body combat trainer and presenter for Les Mills Asia Pacific. We discuss whether it's choreography or algebra. It all makes sense in the end. Coaching or teaching, is there a difference? Stage 3 melanoma, how his mindset helped him through it. So grab your favourite beverage, sit back and enjoy the show. Luke, thank you so much for joining me on the show, mate. I appreciate you taking some time out of your busy schedule to come and have a chat.
A pleasure. I always love having a good chat.
Mate.
I could talk water off a duck's back, probably.
Love it. Hey, let's start right from the top. How did you get into the fitness industry, mate? Where did your journey begin for you?
My journey began 15 years ago today, like almost to the day. I remember Body Combat 90, the release is trained on Body Combat 30, so that's 15 years ago.
No way.
It was shortly before that. So my partner, Pat, he dragged me along just before we got together and said, "Oh, you should come and try this class." And I'd never been to a gym, never stepped foot in a gym. I was like sprightly, young 21-year-old at that time. And I was like, "Oh, look, I don't know if a gym's for me." I think I fell into that misconception of gyms were just for big meatheads. And I was this young, like sort of small frame dude, not really like into anything. He goes, "Oh, it's a group fitness class. You're just going to punch and kick air. It's pretty fun. Come along. You never know. You just." So I got dragged along, and my first class ever was with Danny Beatty from Adelaide, Body Combat presenter trainer, all got the jam, all sorts of stuff. So it was her class, so very first class, and there's me in the middle of the studio like an idiot, like every probably new member feels. I'm getting every bloody move wrong, throwing arms the wrong way. I fucking stood in the middle of the room, went like I reckon about half a track, just looking at her, going, "What the hell is this person doing?" The room was packed though. It was like a 5:30 Monday class. 5:30 Monday, do remember that, it was packed. And our gym was a little independent gym in Adelaide called The Lodge. And there was about 60 people in this room, squished in, but everyone was having the best bloody time in the world. They were smiling, and Danny was just sprouting off her inspirational coaching like she does, like a boss.
Yeah.
And I was like, towards the end of the class, I was like, okay, I'm getting it. But I was like, this is bloody awesome. Like, the people were just like eating everything out of her hand. I'm feeling good. I felt sweaty. I felt stuffed. Yeah, I felt like a dickhead, but I felt good. And then I left, and then it became that was my evening routine on a Monday. It was my 5:30 combat. And then like every new group fitness member, I went, "Oh, wait, how many more times a week can I do this class? I love combat. I want to do it all." So we had 6 classes on the timetable. I was doing 6 classes.
Awesome.
To the point where my old gym had a class on a Monday afternoon at 5:30, and then one again at 8 p.m. at night. I remember when the gyms used to run classes into the evening.
Yeah.
I would do the 5:30 class, have an hour and a half of just chatting to people, and then jump back into the 8 class.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how dedicated I was to combat initially. Pat had just been trained. He was just certified. And I got to a point I was like, I've been doing it for about 6 months. And then I was like, I think I could do this. And there was a training upcoming. I was like, I wonder if I could do it. And I've always been quite a confident person, not really shy to talk in front of people, like, strangers, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, I could probably do this. It looks easy. They just put a microphone on. They just, jump around on stage to some music. How bloody hard could it be? Whatever. Did the training. And those were the 3-day module trainings where you did your first 2 days. And then you came back a week later. You didn't get your track till the day. So you had to learn your choreography on the day to present a track the Sunday afternoon, or the Sunday morning and Sunday afternoon. So that's when you would go home and actually have the pressure of cramming choreo for an entire night. When they were like, "Go home, relax, don't think about today." And you're like, I've got to fucking cram 2 whole tracks into my brain. Plus smush all the content that you've just given me. And then come back in a week later. And I was like, after my 2 days, I was like, do I go back? That was bloody hard. I instantly learned that like little arrogant new instructor lesson of this is actually a science. This is actually a skill. And look, I developed that skill, and then from there I went through to basically I've trained in every other program over the past 10 years. But while I was doing that, I was actually working at Woolies. I was working for Woolworths at the time.
Okay.
And I started there when I was 17, so I had good 4 years in my belt. I worked my way up into a assistant manager position in a store that traded about $1.5 million a year. So quite a busy store. Like
Yeah.
I had quite a progressive career path ahead of me. And one thing Woolworths were good at was it was showing you succession planning where you were going to go. So my
Yep.
next step was a store manager, and I was probably about 8 months off of becoming a store manager in my own store,
Yep.
young 21-year-old. But
Yep.
I remember just going, cool, like I love my fitness, and I quite enjoy it. But this is cool. This is my career. I've put all my effort into this. And then one day I had this boss. It's just a ball breaker boss, and I was the kind of person, again. I start early, I finish late on my days. I don't ask for time off. I would go out to the bloody alarms because I lived the closest. So when Christmas and New Year's happened, people were enjoying their New Year's, and I was driving a piece of wind blew a poster, and it would set an alarm off, and I would have to get out of bed
Yep.
and drive.
Yep.
So
Yep.
never complained, never did anything. Mondays and Thursdays were my two gym nights. Generally, that was like I've got to be out of here at 6 p.m. because I've got my 6:30 class.
Yep.
And I remember one day I'd started teaching, and by then I've got attack under my belt. So this is about 12 months. So maybe I'd been training for combat for about 8 months, and I did attack 8 months later.
Yep.
And it was a launch. It was a Monday night launch. We were going to launch combat and attack. So I was like, cool. We had a whole group of us. When we did the big thing of 4 or 5 instructors on stage just doing it, we fucking loved it, and everyone was crazy
having
for
a ball. Yep.
So I remember saying to my store manager at I'd rocked up at like 7 a.m. that morning. He got in at 9. And I said to him, look, I just need to leave on time today because I've got something at the gym at 6:30. I can't miss it. So I've done extra hours, whatever. And he said, oh, mate, I think it's about time you fucking pull your head out your ass and worry about what's more important to you, your little fucking group fitness shit or your career. I was like, okay, cool. So I went home, did my launch, had the best bloody time, we left that guy. Fuck, I love this. I love this so much. And then I went, I'm going to do it. I'm going to resign. I don't care. Like, I'm contradicting myself. One day I'm telling people, get fitter, be on this path to improving yourself, and then the next day I'm selling them Coke and cigarettes by the gallon, in a supermarket. Like, yes, there's some healthy food there, but we know where I was based in a lower socioeconomic area, it was all about the Coke and smokes. And I was like, it just doesn't feel right. So I went in the next day with my resignation, gave my 4 weeks notice. My boss was like, why? Well, no, I was just frustrated yesterday. I was stressed out. I said, no, I said, what you said really, it's triggered me to make that leap and make that decision to go and do something I am passionate about. And then from there, I had a part-time job while I studied my Cert 3 and 4, which actually was pretty fun because I won it in the competition through AIF, actually.
No way.
Being a group fitness instructor actually helped because there was this radio competition. It was like, enter to win your Cert 3 and 4 for AIF.
Yeah.
So we had to go down to one of their sites in Adelaide where they ran the AIF, and it was some radio show. So they were like, we'll do some fitness challenges. And so we did some push-ups, bodyweight push-ups, cool. A lesbian instructor could do at least 5 on there. No, I'm joking. We can do a bunch on our toes as well.
Can we? Oh, okay, yeah.
Sometimes, I don't know. So we had to do some push-ups. We had to do a treadmill run. And the thing that won it for me was the person goes, okay, to be a PT and a group fitness person, you've got to be able to just be off the cuff and be random. So they made us do like an interpretive dance to some music.
Yep.
And so they had us jumping around and being stupid. And then I think it was 12 of us. I remember there being 12. And there was like the boys, and they were just like step touching to the side. There's me on. This is like a $2,000 prize back then. I was like, fuck, I was just good. And I was whipping out body jam moves and shit air moves. I was just being stupid, so stupid. And I won. So I was like,
excellent, mate.
So look, I was pretty happy my first little world into Les Mills, that made me sort of that super. I didn't care that no one saw me jumping around. But so I studied. I was studying at the time, teaching more classes. And then when I was qualified, I did PT. Then I just started working my way out through the business. So I was had PT. I did reception. When we moved from Adelaide to Brisbane about 8 years ago. And then I sort of started again at the bottom, I guess. I sort of was just more on reception, and I worked my way up through Go. So I was a customer service manager, sales manager, did all the roles up to club manager. In that time, I did a stint as a group fitness manager for 18 months in a couple of our clubs. Then as we got bought out is when sort of some of the stuff changed. So I moved back into club management there. And then from there, spent about 18 months as a club manager. And then my training role for my programs department came up. So that was about 3.5 years ago. I kind of forget that year of COVID. So it was
Yeah.
about maybe 4 years ago now.
COVID?
That
What's that? What are you talking
yeah,
about? What's COVID? I don't know what you're talking about.
yeah, it's what was the latest one today? Oh, the fuel prices. It's if you've got
Yes.
sweaty and you're filling up, you've got
Yeah.
car owner
Okay.
virus.
Yeah. Love
So
that.
yeah, it was interesting. But yeah, so I got that role. So then I've been heavily into sort of helping establish the training development of all those coaches. So
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
with that and sort of obviously my presenter stuff, that was obviously a goal about 15 years. I've been on the team for 7.5.
Yep.
So when I was about 3 or 4 years in, that's when I was like, oh yeah, maybe that's my next step as a
Yeah.
GFI. How do I
Yeah.
become? How do I get to that level? How do I become that amazing?
Yeah.
How do I become those cool people that
Yeah.
get to teach to the instructors? That seems like a really cool thing. So
Yeah.
it was then that I started then just doing, following the steps. But back then it was aim 1, aim 2.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
had to have your elite before you kind of got invited to do things. So yeah, so then I've been on that trainer pathway and presenter pathway. So I
Yep.
started off with Shaddam and Attack, and then just before COVID, I was put on the combat team.
Yep.
And then I've been made part of the training team. But again, since then, you kind of juggle things. So since that's happened, I've then stepped away from Shaddam and Body Attack most recently, and I'm just teaching combat at the moment.
This is the Group X podcast.
I guess that's me in a nutshell.
Mate, I love that. That was short, sharp, and sweet, but you covered so much there, which was absolutely brilliant. I want to take you right back to the beginning, where you went and decided after a couple of months of doing combat and doing that initial module training, walking into that initial module training. Had Pat told you around what to expect, or did you walk in there sort of going, well, okay, I'm not really sure. Talk us through that experience.
No, I think obviously someone who's done it, and because he trained 2 releases before me, so within a 6-month window that he had trained and I had trained.
Yep.
So yeah, it was great. He was like, "Oh yeah, you rock up and you do the master class," and I think they opened it up. So he turned around and he turned up to that day and did the master class with me.
Yep.
Met the trainer who was John Kelly from Canberra.
Yeah.
John Kelly was my trainer, so I remember that quite well. Jordan Kelly's
Excellent.
dad, I found out like how many years? Only a few years ago that was his dad.
Yeah.
So he was my trainer. So he was like, "Oh, yeah, you do your master class and you do technique, and you'll think you're fucking good at combat, but you're not, because the trainer will tell you everything you're doing wrong, and you'll do your challenge, and that's really hard, and you have to teach in front of people when it's really scary." So it was kind of like that whole anticipation. But I guess had I not had that, I would have gone and going, what am I in for?
Yeah.
What's about to happen?
Yeah.
So, and then because I by that time I'd made friends with Danny as well, and she was like, "Oh yeah, it's such a fun weekend. You meet some great people."
Yeah.
Most of the time when people have described the modules, all of the modules that I've done, and I guess what I say to is always it's overwhelming, but it's such a supportive environment that you're going to feel good. Like you're going to connect with all these instructors. They're there for the same reason.
Yeah.
The trainer is passionate. They want you to succeed. They don't want you to fail. So it's always encouraging. It's always supportive. So again, I guess that's what led me into it. When people are like, "Oh, look, you're going to have the best weekend though. You're going to make some friends. You're going to learn a lot. It's going to be challenging, yes, but hey, like it's the best part of it is you get to just live combat for 3 days."
Yeah. How did you find learning choreography? Was that foreign to you?
So for me it was okay-ish, but again, I had a different learning style. So I'm not good at I wasn't good at reading the choreography notes and then listening. I'm a visual kinesthetic learner, so I've got to put the music on, I've got to watch it, replicate it, then push pause on the sound so I can just do it. I don't like when the choreo notes to me was like algebra. I'd look at it go 4 times 8. I was like, fuck, I have to do maths. And that's when the notes were like flip open ones that were like almost an A4 booklet.
Yes.
They were written this way.
Yep.
And you're like 4 times 8. And the sequence thing didn't get me. So once I just did it in front of the thing, I was like, okay, cool, there's a pattern here. It's like 4 of these, then I do 2 of those, and I repeat that on that side.
Yep.
That's when combat was just like, like it was back then, or every program was just like, here's round 1, do it on round 2. Hola, you're not going to learn really 30 minutes of choreography, and that was still enough. But so that was good. Once I identified my learning style, I sort of knew that I was more visual anyway.
Yeah.
But when we were doing the choreography notes, I was lost. I was that person who was like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
How many beats? And
I hear. I was pretty much the same with RPM when I first, because I'd never done. I come from a telecommunications background. Sitting in front of a computer and telco and IT stuff, and walked into a gym and just walked into a cycle studio, and I was like, "Oh, this is awesome! dark room, loud music. I can scream and yell and carry on and sing, and this is gold. And then when I got offered to do the course for free because the club was doing it and they had a free spot, I was like, yeah, sure, I'll give that a go. And oh Jesus, okay, it's what? How do I even say that word? Choreography. Okay, okay. What's
Choreo?
yeah. What does that actually mean? This guy from IT has no idea what you're referring to here. And it was looking at it, and as you said, algebra is the best description I've heard. Actually, it is. Wow, 20 okay, 8 count 4. Whoa, righto, yep. But I did the same. I had to sit down and watch the VHS back then, the video.
I would look, at least I was a DVD. I was a DVD.
Look, I was on the cusp. Yeah, it was VHS for a couple, and then you could get VHS or CD or DVD for a while,
Yeah.
and just on that era. So, but I remember sitting down and watching, and none of it was gelling. I just couldn't take it in, and it probably took me 2 or 3 releases before I really got to my way of learning things was sit down, watch it, turn it off, put the music on, and listen to the music solidly for 4 days. Yep. Let the music sink in, because if you know the music and you know what's happening, you can then go back and have a look. And so I did that, and then I'd watch the release one more time and then sit down with the notes and sort of watch and listen and sort of take it all in and sort of get where it was. Then it would gel. Corey stays in my head. Like I could probably pull out release 15 of RPM, and as soon as I hit play, I'd know what's going on. If you ask me right now, I'd have no idea. But as soon as I hear the music, I know exactly where we're at and what that journey's going to be through the track. But it was at first, Christ, it was so hard and so foreign. And I think most instructors that I've ever spoken to have sort of gone through the same sort of thing. If they're musical people, they'll get it a bit quicker than others. But those that don't have that musicality and sort of look at what's on the page as like, okay, how do I? Yep. And that is that whole first weekend, as you said, that is very overwhelming. You can walk away, and I remember sitting there watching some people, even because I did stuff for Fitness Network as well for ICE indoor cycling master trainer stuff, and you'd see people sit there and be bawling their eyes out. It's like, guys, it's okay. We're going to help you through this. I'm going to help you get to the other end of this. It's going to be okay. You know what? Yes, it is. It's very overwhelming and very daunting, but at the same time, it is so rewarding when you walk away and look what you have. Look at the skill set you walk away with after, whether it's 2 days or after the whole 3 days, if it's that layout. The capability you've got at the end, that's huge. It's massive. Yeah. And once they get it, it's
Yeah. So look, and it is that and I think you get to that point too when you've done so many modules that you're almost that person that's helping the facilitator, not helping them, but in the breaks going, all right, like just remember, you've got to do this. You're kind of nurturing those people who are just having that mental breakdown because to them, they've put so much external pressure. They've got this external pressure plus the internal pressure they put on themselves to do such a good job because, oh shit, I'm going to have 2 classes by the time I'm certified. I've got to do this. I've got to do well. And you kind of think, if you just breathe, you'll be fine. You're going to lower those hormonal levels that are those peaking and those those endorphins and those hormones that are making you freak out right now. And you're actually going to be able to think with a rational brain. But you kind of look at them now and you go, oh my goodness, like how do you get them again off the ledge? We talked about just earlier before, like get them off the ledge because they've got so much investment in it and they want to do so well, but they get themselves so worked up because again, it's they don't know their learning style now. You kind of look at it and go, how do you? And you kind of and now as a trainer, I look at it like asking people like, how do you learn best? When you learn something, do you learn by listening, reading, doing? And you can kind of, I guess now from that perspective as a trainer. As soon as someone gets a pen and paper out, they start writing. You're like, okay, you are a writer, you're a reader. Like when I talk to you, it's going to be like, here's your choreo notes. Let's help you break them down. Then you'll see the people who you can just say, won't pick a pen up. Probably my kind of people. Like I wasn't, my module books, they got nothing written in them. Like I was that person. I to this day still do not script. Like shit comes out of my brain. For a workshop, yes, I'll have an idea when I'm teaching a workshop what I want to say. And the message. But I'm a reactive personality. I don't write it down because if I write it down, it will come out robotic. It'll be like, welcome to today's class. I say this. Even though it's the words that I put down, but as soon as I do that, I feel like I'm starting to read a script. Whereas it's like, cool. I know in track 4, I've got to make sure I'm driving power talk to them about this, then drive them home, then it's kind of like, cool, I can talk around them. I can coach all of those movements with my eyes closed,
Yep.
probably with my hands tied behind my back. But
Yeah.
so it's so different. Yeah.
I remember seeing I won't mention who it is, but an international trainer presenter back when I first started in 2003, that she would, shouldn't have said she, this person would write down their own choreo notes. So they the choreo notes that come from LM, and then they'd sit there and I'd see a triangle and then a square and then a line this way and whatever, and it was that person's way of interpreting what the choreo was into their own visual thing on a piece of paper that they remembered it by. And that was when I really sort of went, wow, okay, you've just drawn shapes which mean jack to me, but in that person's mind they had made it make 100% sense. And that was how they got to that level of being an international presenter who used to travel the world and do stuff in Asia and wherever else. It was just like, wow, okay, that's so unique in a way, but it just goes to show that so many people, we all learn in different ways. It's that journey is
so different. And even like that, like I'm more, like we said, talked about before, I'm the same thing. I watch the masterclass, then I just spend a week listening to music. So when I get a new release, when we start prepping for workshops, watch it once, get a feel for it, close that down. I know I've got 4 weeks to prep before we launch. 1 week is the music's playing in the car, in the bathroom, wherever I've got time to listen to it. And we said something in a module, or I was talking to another presenter, and I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. I pre-cue when that little whoosh sound happens. And they're like, what? Whoosh sound? I was like, oh, the whoosh sound. Can't you hear it? And they were like, oh, so what rep is that? And so even our trainer presenter team now, still, we all have different learning styles. So I was like this. I was like, I don't know. It's the pre-cue. It's the whoosh sound. It goes, no. There's like but that's how I've interpreted. That's how I've learned. I go, cool. That's my pre-cue trigger. That's my when I'm going to say this thing. Like, that's when I need to show this. That's when I need to change choreography. But it's so interesting to break down the human psychology on how people learn and how then they're put in that situation in the initial module to go. It's like that fight or flight reflex. Some people are like, cool, I got this. I'll just just give it a crack. And other people are like, shit, where's the door?
Yeah.
Like, I gotta get out.
This is the Group X podcast. On that, how was your first ever class you taught?
I was overly confident. It was okay. Because again, I think because I was very passionate about body combat and had been doing it. So I was probably that annoying trainee that didn't want to do their release because I was over it. I was over doing it and teaching. So I'd purchased 2 releases beforehand and Pat had access to them anyway. So I taught a couple of the tracks that I'd really liked as a participant, and they came across okay. But again, I was probably just overly confident at the time. I was like, I'm just like nailing this. Whereas I was probably having too much fun, wasn't teaching to the people in front of me. And to be honest, that was probably me for the first 5 years. It was like Les Mills are so good at giving us a structure. It was just teaching the choreography, teaching the movement. Look, I was connecting with people, but I was not like I was now. I wasn't like, how can I fix these people? How can I help them? What can I leave them with? That's going to give them this is going to want to make them come back to my class. What can I give them that the new instructor who's just going to regurgitate choreography and all the coaching from the video, but doesn't understand how those movements can affect day-to-day activity, their goals. I was that instructor for probably 4 years. I was just like, here's the choreography, blah, 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 blah. Verbal diarrhea. And now I look at it like, I don't need to say half that shit that they say on the video. I just need to look out and go, what do they need right now? What's going to help them? I think that was probably one of the most profound things that I had. Like, I think once you get to a certain level of teaching, you start exploring and you go, I actually want to go to Auckland. I want to try and do the classes from the best of the best in the entire world. And I remember, Rachel Newsham, to me, again, she will always be the key wordsmith, the person who can spout out such great coaching that you're just like, how does your brain think of that? How does it just know how to put those words together with this music at the right time? Like, but I remember going over for my very first filming, and I was like, okay, I can't wait to see this. Every filming rehearsal class I watched, and this is when I'd just been on the Shabam team, so I already met Rach. I was just doing the classes, and she would say something different every class, every class, even though it was their rehearsal class. so the shadows and the international guests, the international presenters that time, either they would stick to their script, or they would just, you could see that they would modify it. Like,
Yep.
you know, they wouldn't take something out, get a key message across. But Rach would say something every class that was different.
Yep.
Like not the same at all. I remember saying to her after, I was like, you don't say the same thing. You, like, everyone on this obviously scripting. She's like, if I said the same shit in every class and the same shit that I said on video, I would probably want to shoot myself.
Yep.
She's like, it would be boring. My members, and they know this, that's not me. That's not me to get out there and sprout. Even in a filming week, she's like, again, like, I think I touched on it before, like, you get to a point where you're so confident with your coaching ability. She goes, when I get on stage and we put the cameras on, I know what I'm going to say. It's going to come out in the order.
Yep.
And I've played with kind of what I want to play with, but my members don't know, you know, that I'm, well, they do know because it's Les Mills, but you know, they don't care. They're there for their hour. They don't care that I'm scripting for a workout, a video. They want to know that I'm connected to them. So I think that was one of the key things, and that was about 7.5 years ago. Then I was like, oh, that's so cool to hear that someone else is doing. I don't need to hear and sound the same every class. Because again, I think if you fall into that trap, and those instructors do, of I've got to say all these compulsory cues. I've got to say initial cues, follow-up cues, layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 100. And they think that that's what the video sounds like. Those are all the layers. Because from a trainer perspective, and even from my first time, I don't know if you felt it, for your first time of doing a coach, you go out of a module going layer 1, layer 2. I kind of get what they are, but you don't get what they are. It's so much information. Like, what was the layer 1, layer 2 again? Like, in the layer 1, layer 2 is like, I tell them, like, now I can go, layer 2 is telling them how to do it better, how to increase their intensity, what benefits they're going to get from it. But I was like, back in the day, I was like, layer 2, you just say that after the layer 1s. Like,
yes, exactly. It's layer 1, layer 2, then layer 3.
Then layer 3. Oh, but
what was a layer 3 again?
So,
Okay, throw that one.
So you can see how they, like, when people leave module, they're just like, okay, and they're just smushing. You know, that's why you get people who teach their first time after module, or even during the 8-week process now, they get on stage and they do all of their coaching in 1 minute. And then there's nothing for the rest of the class. It's just jab. Knuckle, nose. Because they don't understand what the layers of coaching are. So it's interesting.
What always used to spin me out as well is not so much from initial module training, but quarterly workshops. When you'd pick your music up back in the day, when you got your kits and you'd pick it up from going to the quarterlies, and the quarterly would be on a weekend, and then I'd rock in the club on a Monday, and there's someone teaching the new release at 7 a.m. Like, what? Sorry, we finished that at 5:30 yesterday. How the hell are you on a bike or in a pump room? Okay, good on you for giving that a crack. I appreciate that, but not me. I'm not that good. I'm going to sit back and I'm going to let the music sink in, let the choreo sink in, and let it all go before we even. And I think that was, I'll be honest and say, that were the days when clubs were, you know what, just do it. Members need new music. Just go for it. You've learned it on the weekend. Cool. Not guys, let's wait and let's all learn it, and then we can go and have a proper launch and do it. It was when soft launches were around, and just go for it. And there were so many instructors back in the day that were, I need to be the first to teach it.
It was like a badge of honor.
I'm like, no. Go for it. You know what? Go for it. You do it. I'm going to do the whole thing in a week or two, and my members will love it. So they've already heard it. You know what? Tough. This is how it should be done.
They're fixing the memory blanks that I've had in that choreography, because they've already done the release a few times. Great, awesome. Oh, that's what it is.
God, I sound like a bitch when I say that, but anyway.
No, it's such a deal. Like you said, it became such a thing of. It was almost like that badge. I learned it overnight and I can teach it now. It's like that's cool.
No, you can't.
But is it like, now I look at that and go, will it be the same quality as someone who's spent more time analyzing the music?
I say I totally agree with you, because you guys as trainers, presenters, you get the music almost a quarter before,
4 weeks before.
4 weeks before. Okay, 4 weeks before that you've got to get up on stage and present it. So you're not getting it the night before. For you guys to have 4 weeks to learn it is so that it can be done properly, professionally, and nail what you've got to nail in that release. You cannot seriously, 24 hours is not enough. Not enough at all. No. But anyway, it's changed these days, and I think most clubs are on board with, we do a big launch, and we it is a couple of weeks. Most clubs do it in, I think, as a a great way to try and give your members something new, and it's also a way to try and market your club as well, get new members in,
Yeah,
do that kind of stuff.
it's a lead generator, that sort
Yeah,
of stuff too. Like it's
yeah,
the your quarterly launches, when they're done well, and there's advertisement for the whole club. Yeah,
yeah,
they do bring in leads. People bring their friends, and that's what
yeah,
like it. Like if someone drags their friend in, come and do a
yeah,
combat class.
yeah.
It's the best thing in the world.
Yes.
We love Tony and Luke's classes. They're the
Yep,
best.
yep.
Come along if they got open day.
You've
Let's
ever
do all new stuff.
you ever
Don't
seen
worry.
me do a
Everyone's new.
you ever seen me do a combat class?
Well, look,
Have you ever?
no,
No, no.
I've never done RPM. I've done RPM 1, 2.
Look,
I made the mistake of saying to an RPM instructor, "Is there even a beat? Do you even run the beat?" I may have a scar somewhere from that. I don't know, mental, physical. The instructor was like, "Of course, we said on the beat." So
Yeah.
I
No, look,
never.
I have done a combat class, one, yeah, back in 2003. Dorota or D, at North
D?
Sydney. Her and her husband James taught it, and yeah, I realised that I'm good at boxing, as in when I hit something, but me throwing punches to the air, no, no, I'm so unco. It's not funny. Yeah. Look,
It's so
it was
different.
fun. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was so different to what I'm used to from boxing training that I'd done, and even holding pads for somebody else. So it was not what I expected at all. But I went in there and gave it a shot, and I'm pretty sure that both Dee and James were laughing their head off at me the whole time.
Internally.
So no,
Internally.
externally as well. But it was back then where I didn't, I was, come on, this is a whole lot of fun. Let's get in there and experience it. But I haven't. I've got to say, I haven't walked back in to that space since.
Oh, look, it's not changed too much. You'll still be punching and kicking air in front of you. It's actually it's super interesting to see like males come in, especially if they've had any boxing experience come into combat. That's probably one of my straight away as soon as someone's done a boxing, they get their guard up and they're ready to go,
Yep.
and they just cannot comprehend either the range of the strikes because there's nothing to hit against, there's no impact, there's no force, there's no one catching anything.
Yep.
And then the timing, they can't get the tempo because in shadow boxing,
Yeah.
you're working on speed, you're working on that quick reaction. So to say to someone, you have to work on my beat, 1, 2.
Yeah.
The amount of people I've seen just flurrying their fists as fast as they can and hitting that gas point in like 3 minutes because that's what they're used to doing. And then having that discussion after the class going, oh, we do it to the beat so that we can, blah, blah, cardio training.
Yep.
And then like, oh, I get it now. But
you've pretty much summed up my class then.
Yeah. It wasn't the class. It was you were too experienced. You were too high level.
Yes.
Too high level boxer.
Yeah, true. Yeah, we'll roll with that. Thanks. Yeah.
This is the Group X podcast.
Mate, so you trained in combat. What was the next program that you went and trained in?
So body attack was my next one.
Okay.
And again, again, I think, and I got lulled into a false sense of security in my first body attack class because I thought, oh, I haven't done body attack. I haven't seen it, but it says attack. It must be like combat.
Yep.
This must be combat, but worse.
Yep.
Then I did this class and I was like, what the fuck are they doing? Why are we jumping in the air? Why are we doing Superman things? What the hell is this? There's no punching or kicking. Or the kicks in body attack with the straight arm, straight leg things. I was like, and I was trying to like throw combat punches in my first class. However, the instructor's energy was what drew me in. I was like, this class is so much more fun than combat. Combat was fun back then, but this was like, it was music and it was energy and it was challenging. And I walked out going, oh, okay, it's different. It's like, I felt good after it. I felt energized. I felt sufficiently worked. Body attack 12, 13, 14 years ago is nowhere near where the intensity that's at now. Body attack, where it's just you want to leave your stomach on the floor and pass out for 10 minutes and
in the warm-up.
In the warm-up after the burpees and the backflips. So it's body attack next one, and that was probably that was a good module. I had fun with that one because I had experienced the module before.
Yep.
So I remember going in with someone that I knew from my club, and it was help. We kind of worked together, and they were newer, so I was kind of able to help just keep them on track.
Yeah.
It was my first ever module of seeing someone actually have a breakdown mid-track for their presentation.
Yep.
And it was someone who just the trainer was. And I remember the trainer was Tim Jenner. He used to teach, was one of my body attacks in Adelaide, and he was trying to break this down to this poor woman. who was just losing it. And,
Yep.
Everyone was trying to do the encouraging thing. I don't know if you've ever been to a module where, someone's had a mind fart
Yep.
and the rest of the people are like, we're doing it. Like
Yep.
then they just try and keep doing the choreography just to get that person to go,
Yep.
oh yeah, cool. Just stay with the gallop or do something.
Yep.
She had a breakdown, cried on the spot, stopped
Oh.
everyone. And we were like, okay, cool. And the trainer said, look, I'll give you, go and learn the track for an hour again. Just keep doing the choreography. It's not going to come to you. You'll be right. Remember, blah, 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 write the stuff down, however you learn. And she came back about 2 hours later, sort of let her kind of go. We'd all presented, we're getting our feedback, and she was ready to present again, had a breakdown.
Oh.
And it was sad to watch because, again, she had put all that external and internal pressure on herself because she was going to be teaching classes and whatnot. And then I watched it actually kind of go bad in the afternoon. And I ended up having to go to the trainer and go, do you need any witnesses for what just happened? Because she had to be withheld because she couldn't deliver the choreography. She couldn't stand on stage. So the trainer couldn't say to her on day 3, you've passed and you can go and teach. And body attack back then was only a 2-day module. That was the 2-day. Everything else was 3-day. I think that and step or something was only 2-day modules.
Yeah.
So you got your outcome on the day that you passed and you could teach. So we had to withhold her. And she was having a cry. This isn't fair. And rah, rah. And the trainer had said, she's like, I'm a single mom. I'm trying to do this. Rah, rah. And the trainer said, look, you use this energy over the next few months and come back. So take this frustration home, channel it and focus it to try and come up with a positive result.
Yeah.
And she started sprouting at him. You're telling me to take my frustration out of my child. How dare you? And he's like, hang on a sec. No.
Oh, wow.
Never said that.
Yeah.
He said, I've told you to take this energy that you're feeling of disappointment and frustration and use that to focus on nailing your choreography because you want to come back and do a good job. No, you're not. You said I should take my frustration out of my son. Rah, rah. It's like she sort of stormed out. He ended up getting a letter from Les Mills. But I was like, because there were 2 of us, I said, you need just to provide a statement because we could hear that you didn't say that to her. Like you said what you said.
Yeah.
And he said, if I find any that I'll reach out. He never ended up reaching out, but I know that he got kind of reprimanded because this person, again, got feedback through that a trainer told them to go home and beat up their son when all he was trying to do all weekend was just kind of channel her to go, this isn't a bad thing. You're just not ready now.
People will
so it was my very first experience.
Sorry, because people will interpret things their own way. What some person's trying to say can be taken in a complete different way if that person's not willing to take on board that feedback or that bit of advice. It's can be a challenge. Can be a challenge.
Yeah, so I definitely felt for the trainer, but it was my first sort of exposure to someone, not getting the outcome that they wanted. But as well, kind of looking at Les Mills from the perspective of a business, going, I can't send you back to a club.
Yeah.
If you can't deliver the first key element, you can't teach live people.
No, it's brand. It's the brand. It's the reputation. It's the whole lot of stuff there, not only for Les Mills, but also for the club where that person's going back to teach at. It can be detrimental for the club as well. If that person that has gone to training and is not up to scratch, then they're not going to be passed to go back and teach, and they've got to do additional work to beat. I mean, as a club owner, I would definitely not want an instructor on my timetable that isn't delivering a safe and effective program. It's going to do more damage than anything else. It's like, no, I'm sorry. We'll help you. As the endorsement is that if we're going to send you off to training, then yes, we're going to have a support network here in club to make sure that we do everything best to support you, to support our business. But wow. That would have been confronting not only for that person but also for you guys in the class as well to actually see that happen. It's a shame, but hey, look, it's I think it's another one of those experiences that we learn on our journey and go through. So attack,
and then so attack was my second program. It was the one I guess that needed a bit more grooming. I used to sit ahead of the beat. I used to be quite energetic.
Yep.
So I used to feedback, Luke, you're just moving too fast. You're at the front of the beat. So because attack has a higher beat per minute, I was like, I'm on the time. I'm like, So it took me a long time to kind of go, hang on a second, maybe I just got to sit back and just chill for a bit. But so that was I spent a good year with just attack and combat.
Yep.
From there it was pump.
Yep.
So my club needed a pump instructor at that time. 2 of them left or were leaving. So and one of the great things, and one thing is I was fortunate in my Les Mills' career growing through and my instructor career was when we had a small team environment, a small club.
Yep.
A lot of our modules were paid for us by the club. Like they
Yep.
were like, they saw it as an investment. They were
Yeah.
like, cool, we need an instructor. You only teach here.
Yep.
We're going to pay for your module.
Yep.
So you're going to teach classes for us mainly.
Yep.
And they weren't too fussed if I taught elsewhere, but they were like, you're on our timetable. You're going to have these classes. So
Yeah.
Pump was there. It was one of those love-hate programs to me. I was the member, the participant that would conveniently need a toilet break every lunge track because I just hated lunges. Ironically, I didn't get lunges for my presentation track. I got squats, which is almost just as bad because I couldn't walk for 3 days after module properly. But then I had to suck it up and teach lunges. So my legs got stronger, definitely, because I wasn't copping out. And then from there, it was pretty much just every other program in succession. So I think our club then launched Grits, Shabam, and what was on CX, our core, now, as it's known.
Yep.
So again, we did those trainings. But again, I'd probably spend another year with Pump. So I had what I've tried to do for my first program. What I always try to recommend to people now, you've got these instructors that want to do 17 programs in 6 months, is like, do one. Do it for a year at least.
Yeah.
Get decent at it.
Yeah.
Get your second one, have 2 for a year. So you got 2 years. So I was like, at least once you've got your third, yes, you understand teaching better by then. Still, you got a lot to learn.
Yeah.
But then again, yes, you've developed a model of how to learn choreography. Most of the coaching layers of the programs are quite similar. Then just the language changes slightly. So then you're better versed at adapting to those.
Yeah.
So and we're doing Grit, Shabam, and Core.
Yep.
Then I did Jam. Jam was my little passion class. I would do it every 2 or 3 times a week, just as fun. It was my fun class, my other training.
Yep.
So that was always pretty cool. The hardest program in the entire world to learn.
I've heard that. I've never done it. I mean, I couldn't even do Zumba to save my life. I remember having the master trainer for Zumba come up behind me and say, "Tony, no, hips must swing like this," and my hips just move side to side. Like there's nothing. I was like, look, I'm just going to go sit over there and watch you guys dance. I can't. Yeah. I worked in a nightclub. I did nightclub security. That was about as good as it got. There was dancing. You're all dancing, having fun, and I'm over here. I'm still having fun, but I just can't do. I'm lucky to do a side tap, but I just sit over here.
And then from there was, I think, and then what else have I trained in? After that it was balance. I didn't get certified. I did my training and didn't really go anywhere. That was kind of in my moving phase when we kind of moved up here. Yeah. And then from there I did sprint. Yep. I think that's it. So that's enough. That's too many programs. Yeah. And then from there I realized, unless you were a GFM and you were spending so much time in that world, that it was, if you're working other jobs, other positions, it was too hard to learn 7 programs worth of choreography in a 2-week period, do them justice. So it was kind of then going, what do I love teaching still? What's the availability here in Brisbane to teach? At that stage, I was new to the LMAP team. So I obviously needed to teach at that stage Shabam and Body Attack. So that's where I focused my energy for a while. Plus combat was quite sparse in Brisbane at that stage, and all the instructors had their classes for such a long time. It was again just a time thing now. If you put on the timetable 10, 15 years ago, you had that class for 17 years. You never gave that class up. Now you've got people taking and giving up classes like they're candy. Like, I want this class. No, I don't want it anymore. I don't want to feel like that one. It's not my flavor anymore. So then, when I moved up here, that was still in that little, the end of that era of people holding on to their classes. So I had to wait. It actually took me 18 months to get a permanent combat class in Brisbane. Wow. And it was because someone ended up leaving, stopped teaching there for years. So for me, that was my, it is still my favorite program to teach and was my favorite program. So I was like, I can't teach my favorite thing. Like it's weird. And it was, and then getting back to it, I was just like that excited kid. It was like, this is wow. Wow. So then and then I went to the extreme last year of teaching like 7 a week because I just kept taking covers for people. And then you get to that other end, you're like, I love this so much, but if I say the same fucking joke again, I'm going to kill myself. The only saving grace is that they're different people, but inside you go, dickhead, you've said the same thing 4 times this week. Like, come on, mate. Like, think of something more fun to say. But you go into autopilot, I guess. But internally, your brain starts screaming at you like, come on. Say anything.
This is the Group X Podcast.
How did the opportunity come up to be part of the trainer presenter team?
I think at that stage we were still doing. So obviously now they do auditions and stuff. Or they were doing auditions before COVID.
Yep.
It was more so that AIM 1, AIM 2 pathway.
Yes.
So I remember I completed my AIM 1s for all my programs, and then it was AIM 2. I'd done my AIM 2 for body attack. That one came up before combat.
Yep.
And I remember Nathan Jones came down and did that one. So it was, at AIM at that stage, it was a fun product and a program, but it was the very first. It was like iPhone 1. It had all these features, but nothing was kind of concrete. And even the assessment practice at the end, it was kind of like, was it subjective? Like, was there actually metrics to kind of guide an assessment form that had key criteria, which they then brought in? But the very first one, I remember Nate didn't even have an assessment form. It was just like, oh yeah, I think that's world class. You're elite. You're advanced, whatever. So I actually left that weekend only advanced. I don't think anyone got elite out of our entire group. And that was when the elite status was like you should be on a DVD. I think that's that's how they pitched it to us. If I give you elite today, I should be able to pick you up and put you next to Lisa on stage. So Nate was very strict on elites at one stage. And then once the criteria hit and became tangible, I think people then went, okay, so I've got to do this, and this by this afternoon to get that status. Great. Which made it fair, definitely. So from there, I think I remember once that was kind of when you had the reward, like kind of if you've done advanced or elite, you kind of got to shadow a workshop. So I remember I shadowed a workshop for body attack with Nate. He came down, and it was 3 others of us that were doing body attack. We shadowed. It was fun. We didn't, again, kind of with the Les Mills, you kind of told early on, prepare for everything but expect nothing. So this could be just a nothing. It could be something for fun, or just be switched on so you know what's happening. So from there, I made sure I let my choreo inside out. I was fit. I looked the part. Like they'll call our presenter trainers did and do back in the day. You kind of just role modeled yourself on like all of those guys. So then we didn't get any feedback. It was just for fun. And then it was a quarter later, Michelle had come and seen me do a shabam. And at that stage, no one in Adelaide we were no shabam presenters. They were flying in people all the time, and they were looking to groom. And our classes were the biggest in the state where we were teaching it. I guess, it's not a big note, but when instructors are passionate and decent at what they do, people follow. So, you've got the thing is, it's not the program generally, it's the instructor. Like you can have the best instructor sell a shit program if they are the best brand. It could be anything. So Michelle came down and sort of, semi auditioned us, kind of had a look and went, okay, you've got this is what you need to work on though. And then the next quarter we got to teach a couple of tracks with Sharon Susi. So this is Shabam number 9. I think they're up to Shabam 45 or something now. So Shabam number 9, when we were still it was in its still infancy Shabam really. We shadowed, taught one track, which was cool with Shaz. It was a great experience. You kind of come off that high going, but you're so worked up from it because you spend 4 weeks trying to learn. You're in the mirror, you're presenting, you're teaching. And then it's over like that. You kind of go,
oh, wow.
Stressing myself. I remember saying, Sharon saying, welcome to the class. And we were in the cool down. I was like, what happened in the middle? I know I taught somewhere there. But what did I say anything? Was I good? I don't know. And again, that was kind of left at like a little bit of like we don't know what's happening. Like, or there was no like definitive step there. It was kind of, here you go. Thanks for coming. Then the next quarter, I got a call saying, okay, we want to put you on the Shabam team. Nothing for body attack yet. What had happened that quarter is someone was sick the week of body attack, doing body attack. So Nate had called me and reached out and said, I'd love for you to shadow and teach a few tracks. Are you up for it? And I was like, you don't say no to an opportunity. Yes, fuck a week. It's my first time really on the Shabam team, but I don't want to say no to an opportunity. So I'll definitely learn. And I remember teaching with Claire Thompson when Claire Thompson was around in body attack days. So we taught, and I remember her just being awesome because she was probably one of the most, I don't want to say that because everyone's pretty professional, but super professional, super organized, and super chill, like probably in that respect. Like, she knew what she was doing. So I was like having a little meltdown, like a controlled meltdown. It wasn't full meltdown, going, she's like, just breathe, mate. It's going to be fine. What
Yep.
we do out there, they're probably not going to remember. Let's make sure you've nailed the basics of your
Yep.
tracks. You've got your layer ones, the layer twos. You've
Yep.
got your compulsories out. You're role modeling the fitness, the intensity. Just go with me. We'll be fine. Have a great time.
Yep.
So I left that. And I was like, oh, that was good. That was good to have that. And then we went to Shabam the next day, and I had Lou, and obviously Lou and I get along like a house on fire. She
Yep.
was my module trainer for Shabam,
Yep.
and even for her, it was actually serendipitous because at module, I drove her to the airport, and she said in the car, she's like, I think you could be a presenter one day in Shabam. Like, I think you've got what it takes. You've got the skill set, you've got the personality, you're switched on. I really think that you could be a presenter, and I'll advocate for you, and I'll push for it if it ever happens. But she's like, I think you've got the skills. So when we got to teach together, it was a real cool, like, full circle moment of having your trainer go, I think you'd be good at this, to being on stage when they're running amok, like Lou knows how.
Yeah.
So then after that quarter for Body Attack, it was the workshop after. So to speak, now it was like quarter 3. We had a super workshop in Adelaide, and Nate came down, Chris Hutton came down, Steve was there. They invited me to shadow. Then we would teach me Shabam. I think it was with Johnny and Paddy came down as well. It was a big super workshop. I remember just being on stage and Nate just announcing to the team that, oh yeah, welcome Luke to the Body Attack team. So I didn't even know. I just rocked up and it was just announced on stage. So it was cool. It was really it was a fun moment. But I was like, oh, fun. Like, no one had discussed anything with me, said anything. It was just like, Luke's on the team.
Yeah.
So then so that was back 7.5 years ago that I finally got put on the team officially. And then I've just done my bit and beat, just trying to be decent at workshops. Sometimes shit. Sometimes, what's that little meme, the Italian one? Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit. I've had both of those, both of those experiences where I've gone, oh yeah, cool. I walked out of that one. It was good. Or fuck, what if they got the wrong person doing this? Like, am I cut out for this? And generally it's just that inner monologue that gets you when you've had those shit ones. It's I'm on stage with like a Steve Clough or I'm with a Johnny, and you just get in your head and you start not nailing what you do well. In your normal class atmosphere. So that's how I got into it.
Love it. I love hearing that. And everyone that I've chatted to, it's been a different path that everyone's gone on in order to be where they are, and it's nice to share. It's a guys, for you as well. Thank you for sharing that with us. I greatly appreciate that. I'm going to ask you 2 more questions, and then we'll wrap up, because I'm going to try and keep these, within that hour space. Otherwise, I could sit all of you guys. I could probably sit here and talk to you for 2-3 hours on end. And while I think it'd be great for me, I think there'd be listeners out there going, "Oh, Tony, shut up! Just stop." But yeah, the 2 last questions that I'll fire at you. The first one of them is, if there's any advice you could give to an instructor wanting to do what you do and be a trainer presenter, what would it be?
So it's just do the time. Like, especially the new instructors these days, I always say to them, it's going to take you, it took me 7 years to get where I am. It's not going to happen overnight. If your whole goal, and I see this with the new ones, 6 months in, they're like, I want to be a presenter. I want to be just like you. I'm like, but you can't even fill rooms yet. And you're not nailing the basics. So I always go, nail the basics, do the work, apply the feedback. You can't get to where you are. Align yourself and teach with people at that level. Come and teach with me, get exposed to how I teach, or go teach with Elise, go teach with Johnny, go teach with our presenter team. Everyone's approachable. Get feedback from them, but apply it. Don't take it and go, okay, I think I'm going to keep doing my thing. Because if that's where you want to go, we'd love to have a future generation of presenters. We don't want to be I don't want to be a 50-year-old body combat instructor, like still like with my walking stick and like punching the air, when I probably should have tapped out a few years earlier. And made way for new people. So I always say to them, align yourself with the people that can help get you there by giving you the right feedback, by helping you, give you the tools. And sometimes it's not even just that. It's like, having presenters actually give some people the hard word, going, where you're at right now, you're not physically ready to be on stage in terms of physicality. So sometimes we can have that, and not in terms of body shaming or anything, but sometimes the movement types that we need to do in body combat, the explosive movements, the jumps, the tucks, to be able to role model elite fitness. You can be at whatever shape you can be, but you need to have that fitness. So being able to say to those people, you need to do this training to
Yeah.
get you to there.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just rely on teaching 7 body combat classes, maybe participating in a few other classes and going,
Yeah.
oh, I'm going to be the best instructor, when you can't do some of the movements because
Yeah.
you haven't acquired that skill or
Yep.
developed that muscle memory. So yeah, I always tell them they've got to do other things to help get them to where they want to be.
Awesome.
None of the best presenters have been just doing Les Mills classes only,
Yeah.
or just their one
Yeah.
class only.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, cool. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's straightforward. It's direct. It's guys, if you want to do it, you know what you need to do. Luke's just told us. So
Yes.
thank you. The last question I want to fire at you is, what does the future hold for Luke? What are you doing now, and what's down the track? What's down the road?
Look, I don't know anymore. No, like, look, I would. Fitness has been a big part of my journey. So again, I digress. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but 18 months ago, no, nearly 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with the stage 3 melanoma. So I have actually had a lymph node clearance and a 6-centimeter tumor removed from underneath my armpit.
Yep.
And that came with, I couldn't teach for 12 weeks. I wasn't allowed to teach. I wasn't allowed to do what I was doing for my entire life. So
can I just ask you something on that? And it's personal. If you want to answer, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. How did you react? How did you cope with that news when you were first told?
The first stuff you get is from the GP. The GP goes, "Oh, I've got your test results back from the biopsies and the scans. It's malignant melanoma." And you go, "Cool, cool. I've got cancer. Great, I can hear that. I'll process that." My response then was, "Okay, what is the success? What is the likelihood of living? Like, what are the success rates of operation and treatment?" GPs, no, fuck all.
Yep.
Like, that is now because they know nothing. Like, if you go into them, you've probably got a viral infection. I'll give you some antibiotics. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but general practice. I'm sorry if there's anyone listening out there that's a GP. I definitely don't want you to take offense, but from my experience, then for me, because I didn't have private health care, I still thought I got seen quite quickly. It was a 2-week wait period between when I had the referral to the hospital.
Yep.
In that 2 weeks, one thing I definitely did and made sure I did from some quick research was stayed away from social media in terms of like pages, cancer pages. I just wanted to hear it from the doctor.
Yep.
So from there, I was like, cool, I will look into some sort of types of how can I improve my likelihood and the survival rate for myself. What am I doing right now that's causing stress, hormonal imbalances in my body with the environment that I'm creating within my own body's ecosystem that's allowing this thing to grow in there. There's got to be some things that I can eliminate now that I can start putting myself back into. Once I sat down with the surgeon, they had a better idea. So you go through another scan. I'm not sure if you're familiar with PET scans, and so a PET scan is basically you get a nuclear isotope put in you plus a color, like a glucose-based contrast, injected through. Then they complete a full 3D scan of your entire body. So they get real good detailed pictures of any other tumors that could be present in your body. So what I was identified to my surgeon when I spoke to him, so you get that done before you go see them, was that it was just in the lymph node, and there was only the one tumor. There was nothing else in my body, which was touch wood. That was great at the time. It was fantastic. And he was quite an active he was mid-30s like me, younger doctor, surgeon. And he was like, he understood about fitness. He kind of got what I was saying in terms of like, this is my job, this is my career. Will I still be able to do this? What happens when everything's out? What happens in the treatment? And sort of he eased my stress level 100% straight away. He's like, look, currently at the stage you're at, which was a stage 3, so they deem that anything that moves from skin contact or a lesion on your skin or a mole to a lymph node. So anything that moves to a lymph node is classed as a stage 3. Because it's in that blood system, it can get to that transport. So from there, he said, you're at this stage, but the medicine for melanoma has advanced so far that, hopefully in 5 years' time, we won't have to treat it. So again, I thought my next question after that was, okay, what about the chemo and radiation? How's that going to affect me? All right. He said, well, at the end of the day, we don't really treat melanoma with those anymore. It's a less invasive type of treatment called immunotherapy. So I did 12 rounds of that. So once a month. What that does is it trains your body to fight cancer cells. And the best way it was explained to me, so really simply, the nurse told me, the clinical nurse told me, basically our white blood cells are designed to attack cancer cells. Most humans, all humans will have a cancer cell, but their bodies are just good at smashing and destroying them. See you later.
Yeah.
So your blood cells are like a car, and the cancer cells here, and your car just accelerates and smashes through them.
Yep.
So what cancer cells can do, they can get smart. It's almost like they've got the remote control to your car, and they'll turn it off. So you'll go through here, and your car will just stop.
Yep.
It won't see it anymore. What the immunotherapy does is it then just disables the brakes. So even if the car gets turned off, the brakes still crash into it and kill the cell. So layman's terms, but I appreciated that.
Mate,
So
that made 100% sense. It makes sense. The way you explained it makes sense.
And so, look, there were side effects to that. Again, I only had 2 sort of meltdowns in my entire time. I'm generally a fairly positive and optimistic person. I think if you put that energy out to the universe, it will come back. The first was reading the different types of side effects that could happen. I had 2 types of treatments offered to me, and both of them didn't seem great at the time because they seemed like they could have severe effects on my adrenal system. So it could affect my thyroid, my liver, and if those happened, I would have to have a tablet a day for the rest of my life. So a hormone replacement. Happily enough, that hasn't affected me. My treatment finished 13 months ago, nearly over 8 months ago now. And they said, after that, my scans have been great. The second time was I went into, so after my surgery, everything was going good. I got to the week 4, and there just happened to be a freak. I got an infection at the site. So I had to go back in the hospital for another week. And then I had the nurse, a physio come in. So at that stage, because I'd had 2 operations, I could barely lift my arm above my shoulders. This is July 2020. So we're still kind of just out of COVID. But everyone's back teaching in Brisbane, and I'm still in hospital. Can't lift my arm above my shoulder. And I had this nurse come in, and one of the side effects that can happen from having lymph nodes removed, because lymph nodes are responsible for clearing fluid, infection, is you can end up with something called lymphedema. So your limbs will swell, looking like they're just fat, because your body hasn't been able to clear the fluid. So there's a 20% chance that anybody can get that. Doesn't matter what circumstance you're doing, there's no way to prevent it. You just might be fortunate enough that you're that 20% person. There are things you can do. So from there, there's like moving the fluid along your skin, to sort of just moving your skin with creaming it up. So I put like just a Sorbolene on twice a day. Exercise promotes fluid movement itself, so you're helping staying active. But I had this physio come in and say to me, "Oh, you're such high. What do you do for a living?" I said, "I do this." At that stage, I do CrossFit still too. It was 2 of us. It says my training. She said, "Oh, what does that involve?" I said, "Oh, yeah, this. And she's like, "Oh, you'll never be able to do that again because you're at high risk now of getting lymphedema. So you don't want to put yourself at risk. And cancer, rah, rah." And so I just literally, and I was really polite to most of the nurses, and I was like, "Can you just fuck off?" Like I said, "Sorry, I don't want to hear that. I can't. I don't want to hear what I can't do right now. I've already been told I've got cancer. That's out of my body, but I don't want you to tell me I can't live my life." And then I went and found a physio outside. Now I've treated people with breast cancer before, same surgery. Yes, the risk is there, but you're doing what you can to manage it at the moment. And these days it's treatable. It's just you're going to have to go in all the time. So my whole thing was, fitness was my medicine. Fitness showed me and hopefully inspired other people that when you get a diagnosis like this, it's not, you're not out for the count. You can hopefully kind of go, I can come back from this. Yes, it took me 6 months to get my fitness back to where it needed to be, to get my arm to be able to reach over my head again, to be on stage. But I wanted to inspire people that I could go through this and be back on just the normal group fitness stage in my club and show people that, you don't have to feel sorry for yourself. You're feeling sorry for yourself does nothing to help with the chances of recurrence and that sort of thing. And then to inspire those instructors too, that, and I've had since then 4 instructors that are around the country that have had something similar, because I've shared it all on my Instagram and my stories, the good, the bad, the ugly. And they've reached out to me and go, "How did you cope with this? Like, what did you find here?" And I'll go, "Look, first things first, don't go on Facebook. Don't join groups. Some people will tell you to. This is where I found my experience to be. Always get a second opinion, especially on things like physio, because in a hospital they don't know how to treat that. They're treating just the general population who's come in overweight, under conditioned, and going, don't exercise, it's bad for you, because they've never done it before. Cool. And so that's been helpful. And I actually had a lady from Italy, a lesson instructor from Italy, reach out to me recently. And go, "Hey, I just want to know I've seen you've done this through your story. I'm about to go in for a similar surgery. And she messaged me back the other week and just said, I don't know if you remember who I am. Like, you can see this chat history. So I knew who she was, but I remembered.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, it looks great. She said, I'm doing well. I've just, at the moment, I'm just coping with she's had a little bit of different reaction to me.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm getting through it, but, your advice helped me at the start. So again, trying to impact people that what we do isn't just good for, physically, it's good for mental stuff. It's good for coping with this sort of stuff in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess that's my little story from that.
Mate, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for opening up and being honest with that. That's quite confronting to hear, but at the same time, I feel for you, man. That's the thing that I enjoy hearing out of all of that. And I'm not saying this because you're sitting in front of me on a Zoom call or we're chatting to each other, but your mindset, you could have just turned into a fucking heap and you're just going, woe is me. That's it. It's all over. But your mental capacity to look at it and sort of go, you know what, fuck Dr. Google, who are you? I'm not going down that path. I'm just going to go and get the right thing and look what's right for me and have that outset on life that needs to be, get on with it, without that sounding corny and without that trying to come across in any way. But that's sort of how you've sort of gone, you know what, no, this isn't going to beat me. This isn't going to knock me down. I'm going to get through this and let's go. Get on with it. So it's all clear now. It's all, you're in the clear?
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. So I go back for what I have to do now for people in my stage of cancer. I got to go for 5 years and get checkups. So this is my second 2.5 years in now from the start. Yeah. So I go once every 3 months just for a scan. Yep. Normally, so it's a PET scan, not so that one doesn't have that isotope. It's got the same contrast. I'm still ping. The oncologist will either just generally just call me now and go, everything looks good. Yep. A 6 monthly blood test just to make sure everything's going okay. Yeah. And then again, they're pretty strict on, if you feel weird, if you feel a lump, if I've got to get my skin checked again, which everyone who's listening, please get your skin checked for moles, lesions, whatever. Yep. Don't just assume you can be out in the sun forever. Yep. I'll let my lesson hard way. But again, I think more moving back to our first your question in terms of where's Luke going to go from here? Yeah. It's made me appreciate life differently. So back before then I was teaching every night of the week, Saturdays. I was teaching 4 programs. I went, cool, this isn't serving me. It's putting me under lots of adrenal stress. But also I've got to start living my life more and not having to be a service to others all the time. Yeah. One thing that COVID taught me, and I said on one of our calls when we came back from COVID, is as much as members say they love your classes and they love you, and I don't want to do anyone else, I love you. Yeah. What I found was even being sick, that they would come back to classes and do them. Yeah. Whether it was me or someone else. So I was like, hang on a second. Me not being there isn't impacting their fitness journey. No one's quit the gym because Luke's not teaching anymore. Yeah. So I don't need to be there. I don't need to be getting home at 8 o'clock every night, 9 o'clock every night, learning choreography, fucking busting my ass. And then, so it's made me kind of go, I Marie Kondo my life now. You know Marie Kondo, the one who does the person in people's houses fix it? Yeah. If it doesn't bring me joy now, thank you for your time. You're good in my life, but I leave you there and I'm moving on. Love that. So I did that with Shabam. When I first came back, I just wasn't gelling with it. I didn't love it as much anymore. I was like, you know what, that held a good pace in my life, great memories, but that's for someone else now. Yeah. And then was like, why aren't you coming back? I was like, it's just not serving me anymore. Body Attack, I got to the end of that last year and I was like, I've had some great times, made some great connections. Like people like Rach, I've got to work with her and meet her and meet yourself and do those kind of things. But I was like, look, that served me. See you later. Combat, I don't. That's still the t-shirt I'll wear every day, whatever. That's not one. I'm not throwing that one out yet. Yeah. But then it kind of gone, well, cool, I free up my week. Now I go, I don't teach weekends. That's my time. Yeah. Like I pick and choose when I want to teach now. I went and bought a dog because I was like, I want that normal stuff. I want that. I've always wanted a dog. I was like, but I didn't have time for one. Now I've got time, so I can walk in, play with him, give him the attention he needs. And we, from owning some dogs, they want all your attention all the time, all day, every day. But it's cool. Unconditional love from this 4-legged furry thing that just loves everything you do. Yeah. So for me, it's unwritten anymore. If things don't serve me, I'll move on from them. Yeah. But I do know that fitness is still a huge part of my journey, and whatever capacity that will be. And it's ever evolving, Soon I'm probably going to be the cranky yogi that goes, I love yoga now, and turn into the cranky yogi. Who knows? Full circle. Yes.
So, mate, are you right now? Are you still training and presenting? You're still on the trainer presenter team, or have you?
Yeah, so
You
I'm
are?
a trainer presenter for Body Combat at the moment. Yeah, in
Okay,
Queensland. So
cool.
still on the team there. So I
Yep.
still get to do that. Ran my first module. So I was only been put on the trainer part this year.
Yep.
So I ran my first module a few weeks ago. That was really cool to see.
Awesome.
To run one from start to finish on your own, to kind of
Yeah.
how can I get this group of
Was that back to face to face, or was that online?
Yeah, back to face to face.
Awesome.
Yeah. So,
Good.
Yeah,
So
great.
nice.
Queensland here.
Yeah.
We did have a scare because it was like their day 3 was like when we'd had all those COVID spikes here in Queensland. So people were like, what do I do if I get it? Do we have to wear masks? What's going on? So we had mask mandates where we had to, facilitate with our masks on, but that was uncomfortable. But yeah, it was good to kind of get from start to finish with this group and
brilliant.
Give them the tools that they needed to help get them across. So yeah, so still love doing that. Good. But again, at the end of the day, one day I'll hand the reins over to someone else. Someone younger, prettier.
I'm going to say that. You make me laugh. It's one of those, I like hearing that because while I love all you guys and I think you're amazing at what you do, there comes a time where you need to hand that baton over to someone else and train them up. And I think that's can be hard for some trainers and presenters to get to that stage and realize that, hang on a second, I do need to step down or step to the side and let somebody else in. But at the same time, everybody I've chatted to that has sort of said, they know that one day they'll get to that stage where they would have trained somebody up, trained someone to sort of go, you know what, I'm training you in order for you to take my position. Yeah. You'll find that person that is that right fit that you can then hand it over and go, here, do it justice. Continue doing what it's doing while I just sit over here and watch and go, you know what? Yeah, I trained you up and have that proud moment. So
yeah, and there's nothing more rewarding, even like I still to do that, but even in terms of when you see GFIs that you've mentored and you've spent time with and they go off and teach on their own and then they go through their AIM 1s and their AIM 2s and you're like, and they get good feedback and you're like, it's just rewarding to see. And I think one of my more favorite ones more recently is I coerced / bullied / just kept pestering one of my members who was doing my body attack classes a few years ago to do his training, and to see him come around full circle and then what happened fortunate from that is where the trainer, I actually think it might have been Rach, was in lockdown last year. She was supposed to come up.
Yep.
Well, no, sorry, maybe it was Eve or someone couldn't come up for day 3.
Yep.
And it ended up being they just trained me up to do the certification day, and I got to be in his certification and sitting there certifying him. He's doing a great job. He's going to be better than me. Yeah. Like sitting there going, this guy's he's switched on because he's done so much body attack. He just knew he lives and breathes it. So I was like, oh, he's going to be great. And then and then kind of then I literally handed over one of my classes to him. The GFM said, oh, I was giving up my classes. Look, I'm going to give up this class, but I think this person will be great because they're fantastic. Yeah. They're brand new. Give them a chance. They're fantastic. And he's building the class better than I did. So good on him.
Excellent.
But again, full circle moment. Brad Dadish.
Yeah.
Brad, Les Milf Dad.
Awesome. Hey, look, thank you so much, mate, for coming on the show and having a chat. I've appreciated you spending an hour of your night having a gossip and having a chin wag to me, mate. Thank you so much.
No, I appreciate you having me. Thank you for reaching out and inviting me. It's been a fun conversation, and I've really enjoyed just even getting some of the stuff out of my head. Just like, wow, that's what I think. So I really appreciate it, Tony, and I can't wait to hear what you edit out. Please don't edit out my swear words.
You mean fuck? Oh, no.
Yeah, I know. Shit.